City of Stars, welcome to the swamp. You're pretty on key.
Thanks. Do you think that that is good enough to win Best Original Song at the Oscars? I think maybe not.
Definitely not.
But welcome to the swamp. It's our podcast. It's an acronym.
Stands for some whack-ass movie podcasting.
I am delighted, elated, and overjoyed to be recording with you in person today, Emily. Mm-hmm. And, oh, that's Emily, my co-host.
This is Dara, my co-host.
Oh my god. It's sometimes, I think it's confusing on podcasts when they introduce each other.
Mm-hmm.
I was also thinking today on my drive over here that we never say our last names. Are we really secretive? I think it says it, like, on Apple.
Yeah.
Like, it says our full names, but I'm never like, I'm here with my co-host. Full government name, Emily. Like, I just feel like I never say that.
We're also tagged, like, every week on our posts on Instagram.
That's true.
And my Instagram handle is just my full first last name.
Full of your last name.
Yeah, I might as well give you guys my social security info now.
I don't think anybody who's listening to this would do anything with that. So no, I'm just kidding. But today we are continuing listener-suggested movie month with, I genuinely, like, I want to apologize at the top of this. If this is, like, your deeply favorite movie and you were hoping that we also felt that way, this is not the case. But if you picked this on purpose because you wanted to get me riled up, then you're fucking successful because...
You've done it.
3 people, all from Instagram, I believe, at Kimberly Keegan, Emma Belk, and Evicornin.
Sorry,
Evicornin _. All of you will be in the description below, but thank you for suggesting that we talk about La La Land. Mm-hmm. Thank you, but also, like, fuck you. I hate this movie. I fucking hate this movie. And it is for all of the typical reasons that other people don't like this movie for, but a ton of people, like, when I was looking on, like, Letterboxd, this is, like, a 4.5 star film. And this was critically, like, raved about when it came out. And I will tell you, I'm not a bandwagoner. I fucking hated this movie from day one. I saw this in the theaters with my mom for our Oscar quest, and I think it came out in 2016, so it was for the 2017 Oscars. I think it came out, like, winter time of 2016.
Sounds right.
Or so. And, if we want to just, like, jump right into it, the opening scene of this film.
One of the worst openers I've ever seen.
Basically, it's like...
I hate it.
It's like a girl is, like, humming to herself in her car. Oh my god, like, she's the main character. And then she gets out of her car. Truly, I thought that this was a Coca-Cola commercial.
Yeah.
That was airing before the movie started. When I saw this in the theaters, I was like, damn, this is a long, like, Coke commercial. I think it was just because everyone was wearing primary colors that for some reason,
horrible.
That's why I thought it was, like, Coke for some reason. And, like, you know how they always do the commercials, like, for the things at the concessions?
Yeah, of course.
I don't know. It's like, this is a really long, kind of weirdly high-budget Coke commercial. And that, like, and I've seen this movie twice now. Once in the theaters when it came out and once yesterday for this podcast. And watching it back, it is so devoid of any brand presence, yet it feels so commercialized. Like,
well, and I feel like that's probably what... It feels, like, intentional almost, because it is, like, set in LA and all that shit.
I guess. Was I supposed to hate it, though? Was that the point?
I don't know.
When they open up the truck and the band is in the truck, and, like, we've got the drums in the truck... And we're all,
I hope the truck blows up.
We're dancing in the street.
In LA.
I was so annoyed. And it truly was not until they panned to Emma Stone
that you're like, fuck!
That I was like, oh, this is the movie that I paid. I was like, this is like a 9-minute long, like, experimental advertising thing that they're, like, trying out.
How upset were you when you realized that this was
the real... Well, I wasn't really that shocked. Yeah. I was like, oh. Like...
Oh, okay.
I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, and you just watched this for the first time today.
Very first time today. Yeah, didn't love it. It's really upsetting to know that these are the same people that did Whiplash and Babylon, and there was this in the middle.
It's interesting to me, and I almost wonder how they feel about this movie, because I've never seen Babylon, but you have said really good things about it.
Yeah.
And we both love Whiplash.
Yeah.
And I think that this movie is trying to maybe accomplish a lot of similar things that Whiplash takes on as far as, like, criticism of music or, like, trying to be, you know, a great artist and like everything it takes, like the sacrifices it takes for a person to achieve greatness. Like, I think that this movie had touches of that I think Whiplash accomplishes beautifully.
Yeah, absolutely.
And obviously they weren't trying to make the same movie. Like, this movie has a different perspective. But they hit the nail on the head so hard with Whiplash that I just cannot believe how, like, I just think this movie is soulless, gutless, plotless, charmless. I find no, like, substance in it. And at some points, I'm like, is that the point? Is it satire? Like,
it's LA.
Am I supposed to hate it? But then it never has the payoff of like the punchline of the joke or like the reveal of what the big point was. So I'm like,
am I just stupid?
Why? Well, like, why?
Am I like too cynical for this movie? Like, you know what I mean? Because like so many people love it. Because I almost want to ask someone that really loves it why they love it so much.
I can see how it would maybe be like a fun viewing experience. I don't hate musicals.
I like musicals.
I like a musical.
I really like musicals.
But like, I could see how somebody who hates musicals would hate this movie.
Yeah.
I like musicals, but I still hate this movie. But I guess if you're like, it's a fun, you know, bright colors, you know,
but like it's not like it's not bright colors in a fun way. And the romance, there's nothing about the romance that like draws me in and makes me feel connected and makes me want to root for them.
It's that these characters are so one-dimensional.
Yeah.
To me, both of them, the only thing we know about them is what their aspiration is. He wants to be a jazz musician. He wants to open the jazz club. He wants to, quote-unquote, like, save jazz. And she wants to be an actress because of this, you know, childhood thing she had with her aunt, and now she wants to be an actress. That's all we know about them. There aren't even, like, quirky little moments where it's like, oh, she's left-handed, or like, I don't know, like stupid things that make you feel connected to a character. Like,
I think the one thing that like came up was like, she was like, how did you find my house? And he's like, the house across from the library.
I thought that was
and
charming.
Then drove off.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's literally it. That's the only thing about this movie that made me like Ryan Gosling's character, besides the tap dancing. I did like the tap dancing. I will be honest, that the music, not amazing. Neither of them are stellar singers. I liked Emma Stone better in Easy A when she's singing Pocket Full of Sunshine. Like, they're fine. They're fine.
Yeah, both of
But
them.
I like the dancing. I like a little tap dance.
Did you know that Mandy Moore did the choreographing for this movie?
Why?
I don't know. I guess she's a choreographer.
Okay.
She choreographed all the dancing in this movie. Isn't that crazy?
That's wild.
And like, neither of them were like trained tap dancers, obviously, but both of them are like very committed Hollywood people. So like, obviously, both of them like got their asses in tap class or whatever.
It's almost frustrating too because I like both of them as actors,
and I think that they do a fine job in this movie. I just don't think that they were given a ton to work with. I didn't really care for the tap dancing. It lasted a little too long for me, and then it happened once, and then like really never again until the very end. And I'm like, what's with like at the very beginning, the fun musical numbers, and then it suddenly drops off, and all it is him playing sad piano.
It's a half-ass musical.
Basic, yeah.
It's really like half-baked. They're like, what if we make this like interesting couple dynamic? But what if they sing and dance when they do it? And then, like, you know when, like, you start, like, a new craft or a hobby or something like that? And, like, you get, like...
You're calling me out right now!
Literally, like, when you start rug tufting, and then you do it, like, 2 times, and then you never do it again.
Stop.
That's, like, how it feels with this movie. They were, like, one of the writers or directors, like, started, like, getting really into musicals, and he was like, oh my god, I have to incorporate this. And then he started to, and then he started listening to, like, old Stephen Sondheim, and he was like, I don't really like this anymore.
I'm in this picture and I don't like it.
Yeah, and then moved on. He's like, actually, I have this idea. Margot Robbie, Brad Pitt, old Hollywood.
Right. It's fairly interesting. So Damien Chazelle, I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but he's the director, and then Justin Hurwitz is the composer, and the two of them
love him.
All their music, or all their movies together, and it's like director/writing paired with music, and obviously all 3 of their movies are so integrally like score and plot go hand in hand, and them like as creators working together I think is really interesting. But their concept for this came before Whiplash, and no one would buy this, and so then they did Whiplash, got all the acclaim, and then did this movie.
Well, that makes sense. That actually makes so much sense because this movie's bad.
And
maybe not bad. I don't want to say bad, but it's not Whiplash.
They wrote this while they were in college at Harvard, And
Of course. Oh, okay.
Right. Yeah, the pieces are
okay. It's all starting to make sense.
Right. And then also the producer who post Whiplash really decided to back this was Mark Platt.
Ben Platt?
Ben Platt's dad. Yeah.
Okay.
Ben Platt's dad who produced Wicked.
Oh, yeah, makes sense. That makes so much sense, actually. Right. Have you seen about how, like, Ben Platt is, like, refusing to talk about how he's a Nepo baby?
Oh my god, I love the New York Magazine interview recently. They were like, oh, like, we did the Nepo baby issue and you were in that. Like, do you have anything to say? And it was like,
stop the interview.
In brackets, like, his PR person comes in and demands we end the interview. Oh my god, Ben Platt, just be like, oh yeah, it was really great growing up around a lot of, like, passionate people and it was so cool.
It's just not that serious.
Right?
If you rock that you're a Nepo baby, that's pretty dope. Like,
right? Like, Dakota Johnson, I think, owns it so fully.
Dakota Johnson, Maya Hawke, like, they're all like, yeah, I wouldn't be here if my parents weren't fucking rich and famous.
Right, Ben Platt, don't act like we don't all know who your dad is. Like,
you're so uncool for this. It's the Harvard for me.
Yeah. Which, again, I'm gonna start this episode off by being like, no offense if you, I guess, go to Harvard. If you go to Harvard, you probably do not listen to this podcast.
No.
But if you do, like, DM me. I want to pick your brain, because that's wild, man.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to, like, come off like we're saying, like, people who are aspiring artists or musicians or actresses are, like, vapid or stupid, or like that your dreams are, like, not achievable, because that's not true. Everyone obviously has dreams and aspirations, and if you want to be an actress, that's fucking cool, and you can work really hard and make that work for yourself. I just think in the context of this movie specifically, both of their dreams come off so, like, I want to be on the big picture someday. Oh, mister, I'm gonna be up there on the big silver screen like it's in the fucking 1930, and him being like, I'm gonna single-handedly
save jazz.
Save jazz.
Here's the thing. Okay, as someone who went to a music school and, like, was in classes and productions and things with jazz
this
people,
man.
I have met this man 20 times over. I will tell them, I will give Damien this. It's spot on. It's fucking spot on. The pretentious, no, you don't get it. You don't understand.
But they did not do a good job of giving her character even a leg to stand on. Because when she's like, one thing you need to know about me is that I hate jazz. So I'm like, oh my god, so she's gonna be this kind of character. And she's like, what, Kenny G elevator music? Are you fucking stupid? I don't think that anyone can fully write off an entire genre of music, especially one as broad as jazz, and just say you don't like it. That's like if somebody said, like, I don't like rock music. What do you mean? You've never heard a single song in the entire rock genre that even tickled you a little bit? That's just fucking not true. I don't believe that when people say, I feel like it gets said a lot about, like, country music, like, oh, I like all kinds of music except country. Like, no, you just don't like modern country. Like, John Denver, that's country. Like, there's so many different variations on genres of music that I feel like you can't just write off a whole one. Same thing about movies, I guess you can say. Although I do say, like, I don't like rom-coms, but, like, I do like some of them. Just, you know. But yeah, you can be like, oh, like, jazz isn't, like, my favorite, but her just being like, I hate jazz. And then being like, Kenny G. I was like, oh, this is, like, such a, like, this is not it. And, like, obviously he has a reason to be kind of like, I need to teach you the ways of jazz. And where I think that this movie kind of turns a little bit sour for me is that we're supposed to like both of them because I
don't like either of them.
Because it's a romance, right? So we kind of want to, like, root for them.
Yeah.
Maybe, whereas I feel like in Whiplash, like, when he dumps his girlfriend because he's like, I need to take drumming more seriously, and you're like, oh my god, you're a
sociopath.
Yeah, right? Like, that is far more interesting to me than him being like, well, I have to break up with you because you need to go be a movie star. Like, I don't care what you do.
Yeah.
And also,
like, nothing, well, because I don't care what you do if you live or die, or if you get your jazz, if you get your jazz club or not, because these characters aren't developed.
Right. Or, like,
nothing about these characters makes me like them and want to root for them. Like, at least with Whiplash, I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, he is talented, like, this is his life, like, I do want him to, like, do this, and it shows you those long scenes of him practicing and, like, busting his hands and, like, all that shit, and how dedicated he is. I don't know if Ryan Gosling's dedicated to this. He's sold out and played with fucking Pharrell's... Is it Pharrell?
Pharrell!
Shit.
Not Jump Scare John Legend, who just shows up to be not the evil music manager, but the evil music head of the group guy who makes you sell out.
Here's the thing.
I kind of liked that song that they were doing.
None of this makes me feel like he's evil. Like, he was just doing his thing.
Right.
And he was sitting there, he was like, Ryan, you are hard to work with. What was his name in the movie?
Sebastian.
Because
the name of the club is Sebs. With the music as the apostrophe note, that's like the first thing you learn in graphic design school is like, don't fucking do that shit. I do it a lot though, because I'm lazy. But like,
the government doesn't care what you do. If you didn't know, Dara works for the government.
I'm a graphic designer for the government, if you didn't know. This podcast is not sponsored by, but is financially backed by the government in a way.
This is what your tax dollars are going towards.
Oh, that John Legend's character didn't even really seem all that bad. And the music they were making was, like, to
Slap.
me, kind of fine. And I'm like, we can start a fight. I kind of liked it.
I can shake my ass to that.
And also,
my titties are bouncing.
Also, if it was, like, John Legend was the guy and they were just his band, why the fuck do you care that you're not, like, getting to do your creative, like, it's not even your music. You're just the piano player in a touring band for this, like, leading man.
Who gives a shit?
I get that it's like, you sold out and you're not doing the thing, but he wasn't doing the thing he wanted to do anyways. So would you rather be, like, doing gigs, playing Christmas music, or, like, being a little bit successful, make some money, do your little John Legend tour?
Yeah. Exactly.
It didn't seem that bad to me.
No. The fact that Mia didn't understand it was like, okay, you're just stupid then.
Also that they were, like, dating long distance, like, sort of, while he was touring. And then they tell her about this, like, movie that's going to be in France. They say 4 months of rehearsals. That does not mean on location. That means in America.
Yeah.
4 months of rehearsals, 3 months of shooting. 3 months she was in France. You couldn't do long distance for 3 months. That's why you broke up. Like, obviously they broke up for a myriad of other reasons.
Also, he had been touring for probably 3 or 4 months.
Right? I'm like, okay. Weird, like, I mean, again, like, the excuse that you give versus, like, the truth of it all. But I want to talk a little bit about the, like, whole John Legend's band and how it's portrayed as this sort of, like, new music is bad sort of thing, where it's, like, the Sebastian character, his whole thing is that he loves, like, classic jazz. And he really, like...
This is the most toxic man I've ever met.
Like, he's really into, like, the birth of jazz.
Yeah, Count Basie, Thelonious Monk, like, all of the shit
Charlie Parker.
Yeah, all of the shit.
Like, jazz standards, right? Like, the standards. And he thinks that this is kind of getting lost in, like, the modern music scape. And he wants to bring it back by opening a jazz club. I don't really think that's how you're gonna do it, buddy.
Bro, just get into funk.
Right?
Just get into
jazz funk. Like, that is, in my opinion, the future of jazz is jazz funk.
100%.
But this sort of turn of him being the keyboard player for John Legend's band really, really reminded me of A Star Is Born, where the Lady Gaga character, like, quote-unquote sells out and starts doing pop music, which also kind of slaps. Why did you do that to me? I was like, I kind of liked it. But the whole, like, Bradley Cooper's like, you're a fucking sellout and you do pop music now and you suck. And she's like, maybe a little bit, but, like, I'm still just vibing and, like, doing what is gonna make me commercially successful or whatever. But I feel
I'm still out here being an artist and a creative.
But this movie and A Star Is Born both were kind of ringing true on the same point to me of, like, a lot of movies deciding to take this sort of stance that, like, new art is soulless and bad, and new things like pop music or, like, movies now or whatever are, like, soulless and bad, and old things are good. Old movies are good, old music is good, and that's, like, you know, classic and rooted in tradition, and new stuff is vapid and stupid and not worth, you know, creative merit, really. Yeah. I think both of those movies were sort of making, you know, in different ways, making that sort of stance. And I feel like these two movies specifically, but I feel like a lot of movies in general, will use music as the stand-in, like, the music industry for the stand-in for this criticism, where I think what they really want to say is that new movies are vapid and soulless and bad, and, like, just come on a journey with me for a second, where we reverse the roles really quick. So Mia is the character who wants to do jazz, and Ryan Gosling wants to be the actor, and then he sells out as an actor, and is a minor character in a Marvel movie. And that's what they decide as selling out. They would never. They would never. No. And it's so easy to be like, oh, he wants to do classic jazz, but he's doing, like, R&B pop or whatever, and that's the version of selling out. the acting version of Selling Out, they would never put that on the movies because they don't want to point the finger. They don't want to say, like, I'm using Marvel as a sweeping statement, but, like,
it's pretty much the staple.
A lot of, like, high-budget, usually action stuff, really, like, mass-produced, not... Again, like, what I would say is soulless.
Yeah.
Is they would never, and so I think, like, again, I know A Star Is Born is a movie about music, and this is also a movie about music, but I just don't think movies, like, have the fucking balls to be like, yeah, the equivalent of Selling Out as an actor is, you know, signing that $1 trillion Marvel check. Yeah. I just don't think they're brave enough to say it, and I just think it's interesting that they're like, oh, we'll deflect and be like, because they do the whole, like, old movies are superior, and this new stuff that she's auditioning
talking about
for
how her grandma would go and show her old movies, and then they watched, like, they went to the movies and saw, like, an old movie and everything like that.
And I think this is trying to be the love letter to old cinema that maybe Babylon actually is.
Yeah.
Am I right about that?
I would say so. Yeah.
This maybe is like a weird transition of,
because
like,
I don't even know that Babylon is a love letter to old cinema, but it's definitely an ode to it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. In
the same way that I don't think that Whiplash would be a love letter to jazz, but also an ode to, like,
absolutely
the art form and the commitment. Yeah, I think maybe this is, like, a weird transitional movie where they, like, don't get the music thing right, but they did in Whiplash, and they don't get the movie thing right, but they did in Babylon.
Yeah, exactly.
That's, like, that's an interesting... I'll have to watch Babylon now to see if I agree with that statement that I just made.
I really love... It's just great. I really love both of those movies, and this did... nothing for me. I was just bored. I was really bored.
City of Jen. Sorry, I've already sung a little too much on this podcast for all of our liking, but that wasn't a very good intro. But the City of Jen, I don't really think that makes sense, but my mom, Jen, she's here. We're gonna play Chocolate or Vanilla. It's a game that she hosts. Interim podcast segment. She says 2 things. We all say which one we like better. Jen, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty good.
I'm alright.
Nice. I worked for 12 hours.
Ew.
It was awful. It was the worst.
Is that what happens when you're the boss?
And all 12 of those hours were you preparing for this Chocolate or Vanilla, because this is actually your full-time job.
Yep.
Is there a theme this week?
There is a theme this week. So this is great dance scenes in movies.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Okay. So I guess you could say, you can decide whether you want to say whether you like the movie better or whether you just like that specific dance scene better. So totally up to you. All right, chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
Vanilla.
Chocolate. Chocolate, vanilla, or strawberry?
Chocolate.
I'll stick with vanilla this week.
Yeah, I'm gonna go strawberry. Okay, first one. Be Our Guest from Beauty and the Beast, or I Like to Move It from Madagascar.
Be Our Guest from Beauty and the Beast, I feel like is pretty iconic. I feel like we also did that as, like, a musical in high school, and that was, like, the big one. Also, I feel like that I Like to Move It song was, like, that was, like, the party rock anthem of that year. Like, it was, like, that was, like, the Harlem Shake of that year. It was, like, fucking annoying. Like, I was over it.
Mm-hmm. It was exhausting. Yeah, I think Be Our Guest is kind of classic. And also, like, visually, like, it does it for me. It's all, I mean, especially in, like, the classic one, all of the things dancing, all of those little pastries going, like, flying across the room, just scratches my brain.
Agreed. Totally Be Our Guest. Ryan and his 8-year-old friends used to do the I Like to Move It thing all the time. That's probably why Dara hates it so much.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think everyone's younger brother did that.
Next one is You Can't Stop the Beat from Hairspray, or All in This Together, High School Musical.
It's Hairspray. It's gotta, I mean, I love me a Kenny Ortega moment, but that end of Hairspray is chef's kiss.
That song, watching that number and, like, hearing them do it, like, makes me feel like I'm on drugs. So, yeah, whether You Can't Stop the Beat, yeah, especially when John Travolta and Lil Inez come out and start dancing together. It's different.
Yeah, this one was hard for me, but I'm gonna go All in This Together because, remember the Disney Channel commercials? Exactly, where they taught you how to do all the steps?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, next one is Napoleon Dynamite or Little Miss Sunshine.
No, Gemma's only my
Ooh.
2 favorites.
I knew that one would be hard.
I mean, there's there are a few things you could have put up against Napoleon. I think Henry and I were just in the kitchen listening to the Canned Heat by Jamiroquai, which is the end song from Napoleon Dynamite, but I have to pick Little Miss Sunshine. That's like one of my faves of all time.
Yeah, it's Little Miss Sunshine for me. Again, this is another fucked up one that I haven't seen. I've never seen Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Little Miss Sunshine also. And R.I.P. Alan Arkin, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
I know.
Next one is Jai Ho at the end of Slumdog Millionaire or Golden Years from A Knight's Tale, which I texted you both because I was afraid Emily hadn't seen it. Did you watch my text, Em?
I don't think I did.
Oh.
Sorry.
I feel like
Hashtag
this.
get dunked on.
Sorry,
Jen.
sorry.
Emily ghosted me.
I'm sorry.
Well, now I have to watch it after this.
Okay. I'll go back and edit my answer if I've changed it.
Don't talk like you edit this podcast, you sick
No.
fuck.
By
that I mean I'll ask Dara to edit it.
Exactly. I'll ask Dara to edit it, or I'll go on our Instagram and I'll retract my statement.
I'm gonna say the end of Slumdog Millionaire. I love that movie. That's like a movie that's like on DVD, but it's permanently at like wherever you're staying on vacation.
Always.
Like you show up to the vacation rental location and they have like 4 DVDs and one of them is always Slumdog Millionaire.
And it's one to have too. Like they're kind of right for that. So I'll also say Slumdog Millionaire.
How many YouTube clips have I sent you guys? None, except for this one, because you have to watch Golden Years. It should win. Next one is Cell Block Tango from Chicago, or When the Football Players Dance to I Will Survive in The Replacements.
I have never seen Chicago, but I'm still gonna pick it. Because, oh my god, both of you with the faces, jeez.
I never took you to see Chicago?
No.
It's so iconic.
No, I've never
Dara,
seen it.
you've at least seen it when like Glee did
on
it,
Glee.
right? Yeah.
I was gonna say,
okay.
I know it because they did it on Glee, and it was pretty fire then. And The Replacements is just a football movie. No offense, Jen. It's just a football movie.
Really good football movie.
The Cell Block Tango is hot. So I'm gonna choose that.
Yeah, I would agree with you that it's hot, but the reason I threw this one on there is the other day I was driving and I Will Survive came on the radio, and I was like, first thing I thought of was the jail scene in Replacements. Next one is just for me and Dara, probably nobody else, but from America's Best Dance Crew, Jabberwockies, Super Crew, or Quest Crew.
Stop. This was like, there are so many reality TV shows that I swear to God, like, either just me or me and Jen are the only people who watched them. Like, I have such a, like we live in a simulation thing where I'll bring up, like, something and not a soul knows what the fuck I'm talking about. Or, like, I'll even, like, look online and it has been, like, scrubbed from existence and I'm like, did I make this up? Like, I know I didn't. Like, I feel like I watched a lot of really rogue, off-the-cuff reality TV growing up.
These groups, though, found fame, like, outside of ABDC. ABDC was America's Best Dance Crew on MTV. It was so good. It was
just like a dance. It was like American Idol, but for, like, but it was, like, not, like, So You Think You Can Dance, like, individuals. Like, you had to be, like a team, and it was, like, a lot of, like, street dance, like, hip-hop dance. It wasn't, like, a lot of the other dance shows, which are, like, lyrical, like, I don't know. We were into it. I'm gonna just pick, I feel like the classic answer is Jabberwockies. They, like, I feel like they're the most famous that it came out of. They, like, wear, like, white masks, and they, like, do a lot of, like, hand-tutting bullshit. They, like, have, like, a residency in Vegas or some shit like that.
Yeah. I'm gonna also choose them because they're the only group that I've heard of. They're the only group that I thought I knew, and then Dara, like, explained it, and I was like, okay, yeah, they seem familiar.
I'm gonna go Super Crew, but I loved all 3 of these. Next one is Kurt, Tina, and Brittany doing Single Ladies, or Santana and Mercedes and the Trouble Tones doing Rumor Has It, Someone Like You.
Wow, way to pit two queens against each other, Jen. I have to pick the Single Ladies, though. I feel like that was really early on in Glee. That was, like, season 1, episode, like, fucking 3 or some shit. And that's when I was like, oh, this show has the sauce.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think it's more choreography with that one, too. I feel like, rumor has it, it's like, there's a little bit going on, but I'm mostly still stunned by the vocals. But, like, the Single Ladies dance, I'm watching the dance.
Yeah, it's true. I would pick that one, too. And then the football team did it at the end of the episode, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Next one is the end scene of Dirty Dancing, the end scene of Step Up, or the end scene of Footloose.
I've never seen Step Up or Footloose. I just know the premise, so I don't feel like I need to watch it. But I feel like there's no, like, objective way to say that anything's better than the end of Dirty Dancing. That is not the dancing movie. Like, that is... What other dancing movie dances harder than Patrick Swayze?
None.
Nothing.
Yeah, nothing. Exactly. Yeah, it's Dirty Dancing for me.
Yeah, I would have picked Step Up. I like the mash of like hip hop and ballet, and that one is really good dance. Next one is Alex's dance audition at the end of Flashdance, or Billy Elliot dancing for his dad in Billy Elliot.
I've not seen either of these movies. Once again, guess I'm really not like educated up on my dance films, but I'll pick Billy Elliot because that one feels more wholesome. I don't know.
I was gonna say the same thing. I think that one's probably seems a lot more heartwarming. So I'm gonna go for Billy Elliot.
Yeah, I would agree with you guys, but I'm gonna pick Flashdance because that was my jam.
Isn't that like Jennifer Beals or something?
Yeah. She was like a worked in a coal mine, but then danced at night and like tried out for a ballet company at the end. It was really good.
Nice.
It was groundbreaking in 1982 or something.
Word.
Yeah. Next one is Lilo in Hey Melee No Lilo when she does the hula.
Yes.
Or Uma Thurman in Pulp Fiction.
This is brutal.
Yeah, like, way to really put a gun to my head. I'm gonna pick the Pulp Fiction dance. No, I have no reasoning.
That's fair. I think I'm gonna have to give it to Lilo, though. Because Uma Thurman doesn't impress me. And and Lilo running in, all sopping wet, doing that. Oof. Iconic. Yeah. And she's still slayed.
Me too, for Lilo. True story, though, that my friend went with us and made us all leave the movie theater when Lilo bit somebody because she didn't want our kids to emulate Lilo. So I had to take Darren and Ryan back like a couple weeks later.
Oh my god. That's a lot. Every time someone sees a photo of me as a little kid, they always look at me and they say, "You look like you would bite." I didn't bite. I'm gonna have to post it on our Instagram and ask if it looked like I bit or not.
A poll.
Yeah,
a poll.
Last one is kind of lame. It's the penguins. Bert's Penguin Dance and Mary Poppins, or Boogie Wonderland Penguin Dance and Happy Feet.
Yeah, obviously it's Happy Feet. My fucking boy Mumble. Why? That movie is wild. We should cover that one on here.
I don't think... I've probably seen it, but I have no recollection of it, so... Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to go with Happy Feet as well.
Yeah, me too. And that is it for the dance version of Chocolate or Vanilla.
Well,
outstanding.
You, there's two things that I'm surprised you didn't mention. One is like that movie with Julia Stiles where she's like a hip hop dancer.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Save the Last Dance.
Yeah. That movie is so funny.
Wait, what about
she's the whitest bitch with no rhythm, and she's like, and it is not good.
Wait, what about her dancing on the table in 10 Things I Hate About You, though?
I was gonna do those two against each other, and I thought Save the Last Dance was too obscure.
No, that really went around on Twitter of her being like, and I'm popping and locking, and everyone was like, what the fuck was anyone thinking? But also, it like spawned in my brain while we were having this discussion that Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone have been in a movie where they danced before. That movie Crazy Stupid Love, where they do the Dirty Dancing lift.
Yep.
That would have been a callback. But anyways, this was great, Jen. Makes me feel like I should go watch Billy Madison or something. Maybe
Billy Elliot.
Billy Madison. Definitely not Billy Madison. But thank you, Jen. As always, we love you, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, thanks.
Bye.
You guys have an awesome night. Bye.
Bye. But the world's fastest recap, I told this to Henry the other day, was that Ryan Gosling is a Canadian white man. I mean, that's him as an actor. But he plays Sebastian, who is a jazz pianist who wants to single-handedly save jazz by playing jazz standards in a club that he owns. Okay, right.
Sure.
Not by, like, reinventing or progressing the genre, but by playing standards.
Yeah.
And he wants to... I don't want to get too much into, like, the race element of this movie, because I will criticize it a little bit, but I really don't think it's as egregious as it could have been, or that some people say that it is.
Could have been worse.
But it is like a white man saying he wants to save jazz, okay, and that he wants to open a fried chicken restaurant called Chicken on a Stick and save jazz by playing Charlie Parker. Like, okay.
Yeah, whatever you say, bud.
Emma Stone is an aspiring actress, but neither of them are, like, really making it. Like, they're, like, not really doing great, and they have, like, a lot of these little meet cutes where they're like, oh, we keep bumping into each other, but, like, we don't really like each other, but, like, oh, we do. And then they're like, let's tap dance about it. And then they tippity tap, and then they're like, oh my god.
I'm in love.
There's a little spark here.
Yeah.
And then basically they have their little relationship, but he kind of sells out. She's not into it.
It's like a 6-month relationship
And
at most.
she does her little one-woman play because she realizes, like, maybe I want to be a writer and an actress.
If Phoebe Waller-Bridge can do it, I can do it.
And then he sells out. She's not into it. She keeps getting auditions and isn't getting them, and then they break up, but then she gets an audition and gets it, and then he's like, we need to break up for real, because you're gonna get this movie. She gets the movie. Now she's the big actress, and he actually owns the club, but we don't know that because she's married to some man, and it's like fast forwards 5 years later, and she's married to some man and has a kid, and then they go out, like, on date night, and he's like, let's check out this jazz club, which I'm like, if my, like, ex, like, the ex that's gonna make me have an existential flashback was an aspiring jazz anything, I would just avoid jazz clubs, personally. That's like, when you know your ex works somewhere, like, don't go there unless you're ready to bump into them, you know? But so, obviously, they go into his club, which is Seb's. He wanted it to be Chicken on a Stick, but she was like, you should call it Seb's, and he ended up calling it Seb's. Oh my god. And they basically, like, make eye contact from across the club, and then he plays the sad little ditty that he would always play around
For
her.
Yeah.
And then they basically goes into this alternate timeline in which that they just, like, take over the world together, and what if they had stayed together and really made it work, and the two of them would have been so successful and happy, and they would have been the one with the kid, and the you know, all of the success in making their dreams come true. But then it, like, flashes back, and it's like, oh, but that's not reality. And then they make eye contact again, and then the movie's over.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's literally it.
With a lot of filler of, like, they go to, like, the observatory and, like, float and dance. And I just, like, didn't really care.
Don't care.
Because it's, like, none of the musical numbers were, like, fun or, like, intriguing enough to, like, really catch me.
None of the music was, like...
particularly good. Yeah, I'm gonna say
the music
it was catchy, but not good.
The music that was, like, actually, like, score and, like, sound and everything like that, like, any time they were singing, I didn't care. Didn't care. The score, great.
And I hate to say it, because they're both passable singers. Like, they are fine. Both of them are, I'm not saying they're bad singers, but I just think if your movie is a musical, you need to be a good, if not a great singer, to be in a movie musical where you are singing for, you know, more than a quarter of the time. This one is maybe a little less, but I'm like, both of them are, like, fine, but I'm not, like, loving listening to them sing.
It's not doing
They're
it.
actors who could sing, not singers who could act, which I feel like you had to get some singers who could act for this.
Yeah. You know who I wish did this? And I said this when we were kind of, like, finishing up watching this. I just wish Tom Holland was in it so he could dance.
Yeah, his little tippy tap dance.
Come on, give me a little bit of that.
That would have really got
Slay.
me together.
You know what?
That boy would not have been a believable aspiring jazz pianist.
He would have had to be the actor.
He would have, he would have been the aspiring actress,
Yeah.
and she could have been.
The
Also,
jazz.
I feel. Why do I feel like they would never make a woman be an aspiring jazz musician? Why do I feel that? Like,
Because women aren't as delusional as men in the way that they can save jazz.
save jazz.
Women are delusional in the way that they're like, oh, he would still love me if I was a worm. You know what I mean? Like no woman is like as deranged as like being that committed to jazz, to being so financially broke and like being like, no, I am the next coming of the jazz god.
I am the next me, Ryan Gosling. I'm the reincarnation of Charlie Parker.
Yeah. So,
Right.
I wish. I think I would have liked that more if I got a delusional woman who was trying to save jazz.
Right?
Someone
Yeah.
write that screenplay. I'd watch it.
I love a delusional woman.
Yeah.
But I also don't really... I hate the criticism or, like, the point where people say that any music genre is, like, dead. Like, jazz is dead. Rock and roll is dead. Punk is dead. Like, no, it's not. Like, either you're just, like,
You're being
not,
dramatic.
Like, you're not really... Maybe you're just not looking, but I feel like you can find, like, a robust and, like, passionate community about almost any
Anything.
genre of music, like,
Yeah.
even to the most niche subgenres you can. So to tell me that rock and roll as an entire genre is dead is, like, actually, that's just objectively
Like-
untrue. And also, it's, like, the music you liked listening to in the 70s, but, like, a lot of that still does exist.
Yeah.
There are a ton of fucking bands,
Like-
that sound just like fucking Led Zeppelin. So, like, what the fuck do you mean?
I get it. You're not going to be in the club with like 20 couples foxtrotting to jazz, to big band jazz.
But you...
that doesn't
honestly,
mean it's dead.
No, but you can probably find clubs where you can do that.
Probably.
You could probably find a 70s foxtrot fucking every Thursday night. We get out and we boogie.
just get on Facebook.
Right.
Join a Facebook group.
Join Facebook. But I just hate that. I'm like, can you please just refine your criticism and, like,
Yeah.
say something a little more intelligent? Like, you could say, like, that it's different, or that it's changed, or maybe it's changed in ways that you haven't liked or something. Like music culture can certainly change, but I just think, like, the sweeping statement that any entire genre of music is completely dead is, I'm like, oh, so you're just a moron who
Yeah.
doesn't know how to use the internet.
Yeah.
It's, again, that's like a boomer thing, I think, though. I don't think a lot of people our age would say that.
This movie feels like really millennial to me.
Oh,
It's,
for
like,
sure. Well,
insanely millennial.
It is, because Damien Chazelle is the youngest person to ever win Best Director. He's like 30-something.
Yeah.
Yeah. This movie had a record.
Did he win it for this?
Yeah, he won Best Director. Yeah, and
Ah.
Emma Stone won Best Actress. And it won
It's
for...
not.
and it
That's
won,
really frustrating.
It won a lot. It won, I think, for score. I think it won
Well,
for...
Emma Stone was up against what's her name? Who was it that in Moonlight? What's her? Or maybe not. Maybe she was probably supporting.
No,
but,
yeah, Emma Stone was the only Best Actress who was in a movie from the Best Picture list. All the other
Really?
actresses were... Yeah, it was like Natalie Portman for that Jackie movie.
she was amazing in that.
Yeah, I didn't really have an opinion because I don't think I saw a lot of the other ones. But yeah, this movie had a record-breaking number of Oscar nominations, and it took home a fair number of them. And we haven't even talked about the incident, which is, like, there's not really much
Brilliant.
to say about it anymore, but the fact that they gave the Best Picture to La La Land, and it was because they had handed Faye Dunaway the double of the Best Actress card, so it said Emma Stone La La Land. It was
He
like
just saw
a
La La
duplicate.
Land. He was like, huh?
And yeah, she was like, oh, like, and then they, figured it out, and it was like, they had already started giving their speeches, and it was like, ooh, and it was like one of the
I'm
most,
sorry.
like, oh my god, moments on TV watching it live
Yeah.
was so, it was like the slap. Like, I would say that this was like, I mean, better,
Iconic.
obviously.
Iconic.
Yeah, but to, like, watch that live was like, oh my god, because the Moonlight was the real winner, and it was so, like, I don't want to say, like, cathartic, but, like, to have the fake, we're gonna save, like, white people saving jazz movie versus, like, an actual story about, like, queer people of color was just, like, and to have that turn on a dime was kind of wild. In a good way. We love to see it.
It should have lost, honestly, just for the costume design.
Oh, I hated the
Costume design is horrible.
colors.
The primary colors, it gave Hamilton to me. It was giving Hamilton so hard. Like, the stupid fucking, like, it was giving, like, the Schuyler sisters in Hamilton, because everyone's got to be color coordinated and all that shit. Shut up!
A 2012 Pinterest board
Yeah.
of, like, if everyone in this movie was wearing an infinity scarf, I wouldn't have been surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, now that you say millennial, that really clicks with me. But honestly, I think the only part of this movie that even sort of touches me a little bit is during their little alternate sequence moment. They sort of step into this, like, ethereal alternate reality where the two of them are sort of dancing through this, like, set of, like, almost, like, papier-mâché things that it's very, like, old Hollywood and people are dancing. And that's the only time that this movie visually is I'm like, oh, they're doing something kind of interesting here. Yeah. Or, like, it actually is sort of that homage to old Hollywood that I think that they're wanting to give.
Yeah, that they tried to.
But I'm like, where was this the entire other part of the movie? Because I really couldn't tell. For some parts, I'm like, are you making fun of this? Or are you, like, praising it? I
don't
can't
get
tell.
I don't know. I can't, I have no idea. Like, I feel stupid for not liking it in the way that, like, everyone else likes it. But, you know, the one thing I will praise it, though, for is the fact that jazz piano is sexy.
Yeah.
And Ryan Gosling, as unbearable as he is, I still find him sexy.
Oh, yeah, I always will.
Like, I would have to be, if I met him at a jazz club, not his jazz club, at a jazz club, one of the ones he frequents, I would have to be shit-faced, but I would still let him hit. Absolutely.
I'm sober. I'm there and I'm sober.
You're sober?
I'm letting him hit sober, yeah. Duh, it's Ryan Gosling.
I don't think I could bear... I mean, like, yeah, it's Ryan Gosling, but, like...
I'm not gonna let him play piano for me the next morning. Don't get it twisted,
fair.
But I feel like I hope that he, like, walked in this so he can run in Barbie. Because the dancing, the singing, I'm like...
I can't wait.
Let's refine
now,
it.
That's when I want to hear him sing.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I want him to... Yeah. Ken. All the Kenergy he's been talking about. Amazing.
Oh, okay. My last and final note before we get into our regularly scheduled programming is that I don't want to, like, criticize anyone's musical integrity as a songwriter, because when songs sound like other songs, I'm like, I get it. There are only so many notes in the musical language.
Of course.
And sometimes things sound like other things, and that's, like, it's not your fault. I'm sure you didn't do it on purpose. But when she's having her really emotional big moment during her audition, where they're like, tell us a story, and she's like, my aunt jumped in the river and got sick, but she was such a dreamer. And she starts singing that song, Here's to the Ones Who Dream. It is verbatim Rainbow Connection by Kermit the Frog. Here's to the ones who dream, someday I'll find it, a rainbow connection. It's literally... it's all I can hear. It's all I can hear.
I would, listen, if she sang that
The lover,
instead...
the dreamer, and if I went to an audition, they're like, you're a storyteller, tell us a story. I'd just be like, so the Muppets are gonna take Manhattan, and let me tell you about it. There was this one time when I was babysitting these kids, and I did not babysit a lot because I'm, like, not really good with kids, but, like, I did it, like, you know,
every now and then
to help out, like, one of my mom's friends or whatever,
every
once in a while. And I think
you're such a good person.
I think I was, like, in middle school maybe, or, like, early high school or middle school, but these two, like, I'm gonna say they were, like, 4 and 5 or whatever, like, fairly young. They were, like, going to bed, and they're like, can you tell us a story? And I'm like, okay, like, pick out one of your books. And they were like, no, we don't want a book. We want you to, like, make up a story. And so I just told them, like, plot for plot, the Jimmy Neutron movie. And then they were like, oh my god, can she come back and be our babysitter again? Because we, like, loved the bedtime stories she told us. And I was like, oh my god, no. Like, I did too good a job making them think that I, like, was so creative. But really, I was like, so all the adults are gone, and you have to fight these aliens by doing trivia. I don't even know if I could say the Jimmy Neutron movie verbatim these days.
But back then, by heart.
But if we want to get into our regularly scheduled programming, this movie has an obvious 2. But for our third, do we want to do John Legend?
Yeah.
Like, Mia, Sebastian, John Legend.
Yeah. I'm gonna marry John Legend.
We can start a fight.
Yeah, because I don't think he's nearly as bad as Ryan Gosling makes him out to be in this movie. I think Ryan Gosling is just unbearable.
Pretentious.
However, I am going to fuck him. I'm gonna fuck Sebastian, and I'm gonna kill Mia. And, yeah.
Yeah, this movie is, like, sexless.
Sexless.
Sex does not exist in the universe where this movie takes place. Like, long-distance dating and sex don't exist in this universe. These are two things. This is, like, an alternate dimension where those two things just are not truths.
Yeah.
All babies are, like, petri dish.
Yeah.
Like, there is not an ounce of horny in this movie. So it's hard for me to determine, because, like, even though, like, him playing jazz piano is hot, it's, like, it's hot, but it's not sexy.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm gonna kill Ryan Gosling because he's gonna be like, I can only date a girl when he's like talking to his sister, and he's like, I can only date a girl who likes jazz, and if she doesn't like jazz, I can't. He's like, don't even set me up on a blind date if she doesn't like jazz.
Yeah.
I'm like, how can you be so one-dimensional? That would be like me being like, I don't even know what that would be. Like, if he doesn't like the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, I don't even want to talk to him. Which maybe that might be true, actually, but it's just like such a weird sweeping statement to me. So I would meet him and I would say, what, like Kenny G? And then I'd slit his throat. And then I'm gonna fuck Mia, I guess, because I'm not marrying her. And then I'm gonna marry also John Legend, whose character name I don't remember.
Couldn't even tell you.
And then what are you gonna eat and drink with this movie?
I'm gonna say that you make a Manhattan and suffer through it.
Okay.
Like this movie. And you like put it like you buy, you know, like the bar mix that they have like on sale at like big or like BJ's or some shit like that.
Yep.
Yeah, you get like the
It's
bar
like
mix.
mostly sugar.
Yeah.
Or pretzels.
Yeah, mostly pretzels.
Mostly
Yeah,
pretzels.
just that.
So, like, this movie to me is like the shit-ass fruit salad that you get at the grocery store that's pre-made that is mostly cantaloupe. Like,
Yeah.
you look at it and it's colorful and it could be working for me, and then you even eat one of the pieces of fruit you think is gonna be good and it just has all the shit-ass cantaloupe flavor
Yeah.
all over it.
Yeah.
That's what this movie is to me, but moving beyond that, this movie is also Panera Bread to me. This movie is Panera Bread that, like, maybe in theory I can get why other people would be into it, but it's just really not for me.
not for you.
And I'm eating it and I'm, like, sad and I'm bored. And I'm like, this was too expensive. And I'm not really having a good time. So I think you like DoorDash Panera so it's like lukewarm when it gets to your house. And you get one of those. Have you seen all the TikToks about the supercharged lemonades that have like 1,200 milligrams of
I've had them before.
Yeah.
It's insane. From
1,200?
Panera, yes.
It's like illegal quantities of
basically.
caffeine in these lemonade drinks.
It's actually insane. I've had one at work before, and I felt like I was on like drugs.
Crack.
Yeah, like I don't know if anyone's ever like had that where like they've had so much caffeine that you feel like almost like out of your own head. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But
you
it
blast
was that.
it off. It's like people who do DMT.
Yeah.
Don't even do psychedelics. Drink a supercharged lemonade from Panera Bread.
Is it even worth it to spike it?
Oh, well, that's what I was gonna say. It's like, is putting a shot of something in this even legal?
Probably not.
I don't even think so.
They taste crazy.
But I think it's gonna set you up in a really good mood for what the follow-up film is. And for me, that is the alternate timeline situation that didn't really happen, but we're gonna show it to you, but then it turns out it didn't happen, and that's Breaking Dawn Part 2, baby, where they show the fight scene, and then it turns out it was all a vision. This movie tried and didn't even get a grain of sand on what the vast oceanous beach of amazingness that Breaking Dawn Part 2 achieved with that plot twist.
I think that if you're going to have a 12,000 milligram caffeine drink after this, that it's only reasonable that you watch Damien Chazelle's better movie, Babylon, and you strap yourself in tight because it is 3 hours.
Yeah.
And instead of Panera, you get like your follow-up meal is like your preferred like fast food.
Yeah.
Like Five Guys or some shit like that, or Wendy's or whatever. What do you think? What would you follow this movie up with?
I would probably watch Iron Chef America. Honestly.
Iron Chef America.
Like,
I love Iron Chef Jr.
I haven't watched that.
I like it. We used to do drinking games to oh no, Master Chef Jr. That's what it was, not Iron Chef.
See,
I don't think there is an Iron Chef Jr.
No.
Iron Chef America though. I'll have to get into it.
Dude, it's so intense.
I feel
It
like I
has
only
everything
the
that this
old
movie
ones
does
with
not.
Cat Cora.
Yeah.
The old ones.
Yeah.
Those are the only ones I know. But they're like are still new ones.
I don't know.
Oh.
And what would you rate this movie? I'm gonna give it a 4.
I was gonna say 3. Yeah.
It just doesn't do anything for me. There's nothing that like I don't know. Nothing's gripping.
You know, this movie,
Nothing's gripping my tit.
This movie actually gave me a weird appreciation for Almost Famous that we covered 2 weeks ago that I
Yeah.
also didn't like. But then there were times I was watching this and I was like, damn, I wish I was back in the times where I was watching Almost Famous and not liking it. Because at least I was like getting
A
riled
little
up.
compelled.
La La Land, more like blah blah land. Sorry.
Blah blah bland.
Blah blah bland. Oh shit. Also, my other one joke that I had written down was not quite my tempo, because that's like a line from Flash. I thought I was going to be clever with that one. But to take us out, so this next weekend, canonically in real time as we are recording this, so I'm sure like whatever, subtract a couple days because it'll come out on Wednesday. Me, Emily, and Emily's partner Maya are gonna do a Barbenheimer. Barbieheimer?
Yeah.
Barbenheimer.
Barbecue.
We're gonna
Barbecue.
Ooh, a barbecue! Oh my god. And so we're gonna do a Barbenheimer. We're gonna film us doing some revelry, but then I'm sure we'll also record an episode, and I think that might be the first thing that we try to reel y'all into a Patreon subscription. So I'm not gonna put the information in our bio just yet, but maybe next week I'll announce it and look out for it. But I think we're gonna make it real cheap, and it'll just be you get video versions of all the episodes if you so choose. And in the future, we're gonna work on like bonus content, extended content, and the Barbenheimer will be the, you know, perhaps the big kickoff, the first thing. But it's just something we're thinking about.
The bomb, if you will.
The bomb. Well, have you seen
the
the
big
tweet?
drop?
Have you seen the tweet that's like me shaking my head in Oppenheimer so people know I'm against war? But pretty excited for that. And also, if you see either of those movies, please DM in and tell us what you thought of them, because I know we all have been like thinking about this Barbie movie for literally like 2 years now.
I'm ready to see Ryan Gosling in like his best,
the prime of his life. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I've already seen the supporting actor Oscar campaign begin.
Yeah,
and I'm here for it.
100%. I'm ecstatic.
Hey, Barbie! And so to take us out, again, all the links to all our shit is in the description below. We love all of you. Thank you again to those 3 individuals who recommended we talk about La La Land. I loved being angry this week. I love to be angry always. And we love you all, and goodbye and good night.